Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, 4 straight wins, and this one feels even better for Bud, for Suns fans everywhere. Down go the Bucks, down goes Giannis, and this team is looking pretty darn good. A lot to get into. Clutch moments, big moments, and another win. Let's go.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'm Brendon, Kleen, staff writer at Awful Announcing and credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen late on a Monday, early into Tuesday after a win. Don't forget Locked On Suns, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, so click that follow or subscribe button. Do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Joining me once again from the beautiful PHX Arena, my fellow Suns credentialed media member. How are we feeling? Late on a Monday, a winning Monday, Ben Garcia.
Obviously you and I both have day jobs. It gets a little tough the very next day having to get up. I was just thinking to myself, I don't care. What a fun game. Like, thoroughly fun. I don't remember, obviously, most of the time sometimes I just stand up in the media section because I can't sit still. But for the most part, I'm trying to contain my excitement. I'm trying to clap instead of freak out. But tonight was thoroughly fun. It felt like we had rewind 4 months ago to when the Suns were going 8-1 and Kevin Durant had hit a game-winning shot and the Suns were rolling. Like, the good vibes are really starting to come back. Now, I won't buy into it fully until that Celtics game, but damn, is that a good step in the right direction. Like, anyone, even myself, who was skeptical about this team making the play-in, like, they're going to get in. Now it's just an analysis of if they'll be 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So, good, man. Real good.
Don't forget to follow along at Locked On PHX Suns on X or at Locked On Suns on YouTube for your 7 words or less game takes. Those are back as long as the good vibes continue. We have from JC Trinidad 31, playoffs baby. We have Mayweather K 74-78, need them to win by 3. Come on, we don't need to talk about your bet. We don't need any of that. And then, last but not least, Suns set 13. Please don't trade Kevin Durant. We'll see. You got one for me?
That's interesting.
It's okay if you don't.
Phoenix Suns are back. I don't know what
I like it.
The Phoenix Suns are almost back. I don't I hadn't thought about it, but I was one that I kind of told you, hey, you should probably throw that out there. It would have been nice of me to actually have one, but it just feels like the vibes are back and the Suns are good. That's where I'm at. So.
I like it. It's the right amount of words, which some people sometimes struggle with. But let's get to our moments of the game, which I'll start chronologically, I guess, since mine comes first in the game, but we're going down to the wire here because that is when this one was decided. The Bucks did go up a little bit early, but Suns made up that deficit in a third quarter where they only allowed 20 points for Milwaukee. The rest of the way, it was definitely neck and neck, and KD made a 3 with 26 seconds left, and I loved a bunch of things about this. So one is, it came after the 122 mark when he fouled Kyle Kuzma in the corner. And I was dreading, you mentioned at the beginning, like, what would our moment be if the Bucks had won, or before we recorded you asked me, and that was going to be mine, and I was going to hate to do it because it sucks when the best player on the team in a game also makes the most boneheaded decision. But it's not even about who made the decision. It's just that really was a turning point. Yeah. That was a moment where the Bucks were down 2 and then suddenly were up 2 because of that 4-point play. But KD did more than enough to redeem himself and get this team back where it needed to be. That possession, everybody's coming down the court. I think both Book and Tyus touched it before KD finally got his hands on the ball, and you could see they wanted to kind of, give him some space, clear out. I think he had a mismatch. I believe he was on somebody slightly smaller. It might have even just been Kuzma, but he wanted to do some of that, ends up just saying, F it, there's only 26 seconds left. I need to pull up because we want a 2-for-1 there. So he just lets it fly from the top of the arc, and of course it goes in. Suns take back control of the game, go up 1, and just that whole 1 minute like roller coaster of holy crap, did that really just happen with File and Kuzma, to holy crap, did that really just happen? He hit the biggest shot of the game, until the one you're about to talk about to give them back the lead. Just, I think, perfect kind of snapshot of how crazy this stretch was.
Yeah, and just, before we really harp on what I was going to talk about as well, it just shows the next play mentality for Kevin Durant, because the closeout wasn't exactly awful. Kuzma sold it a little bit.
It wasn't any horrible play, but
it just couldn't happen in that scenario. You couldn't have that. I wouldn't say it was boneheaded.
Especially, the part of it that frustrated me the most is it's Kuzma.
Exactly.
He's not even a good shooter. He had been clanking stuff. It looked like he was playing Looney Tunes basketball most of the night, and then all of a sudden, not only does he make it, which you're just like pulling your hair out, but then to foul him, it was just a mental mistake, but of course he made up for it.
Yeah, and it moves on over to my moment of the game, and I think it'd be ridiculous for either one of us to leave it out. It's easy, but let's say it. It's Devin Booker's game winner tonight. It wasn't just Devin Booker's game winner before that. It was the play previous to that. They schemed up a play for Kevin Durant. They have a foul to give. They foul Kevin Durant. They scheme up another play, which it looked like it was going to be for Kevin Durant. Again, couldn't get the ball inbounded to him. They have another kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, from the other side, a rub off from a screen where they throw it over to Devin Booker. He gets the matchup he wants against Brook Lopez, because he's not going to take him to the cup, drills it. That is perfect execution that we hadn't seen all year long. I was telling you earlier in this game, I was like, man, I would really like to see some more creative inbound passes or shots in this game, where when I was telling you about that, we get a Nick Richards elbow jumper and Kevin Durant is inbounding the ball. And we go from that earlier in the game to a perfectly designed, either Kevin Durant or Devin Booker are going to get the ball. And I made the joke, fate of the universe on the line, Martians have the death beat on Earth, you better hit it. I want Devin Booker. Reality, I want Kevin Durant or Devin Booker. So if we're going to criticize Bud, I also think that deserves some praise. So it goes all the way back to a game ago where Devin Booker hit the bank shot, three-point shot late in the game where he's just feeling it, and you're like, it felt like that was symbolic. And I'm like, that stuff can carry over, and it feels like the Suns have been playing with that kind of intensity and swagger and confidence over the last couple of games, and you saw it there in that shot.
I think that play was really good. And Book said post game that set that Bud called in that moment was actually one of the KD buckets in the first game back for him in the Olympics, which I believe was South Sudan, if I'm remembering right, when he was dealing with the calf and eventually returned and just hit the ground running, scored all those points. It was the last offensive possession for Team USA right before halftime. That's what Book said. And it's perfect because in that case, Book was kind of like the Swiss Army knife for that team. But here, it's your two best players screening for each other. You could see that neither Giannis or I believe it was Gary Trent that was guarding Book knew what to do, because they're like, we kind of want to send extra attention toward both guys. But literally, of course, you can't. And then you couple that with Oso at the top of the key setting a nice, really physical screen of his own. Brook Lopez gets behind the play. All Book has to do is one step back. Of course, 30-whatever-year-old Brook Lopez is not exactly going to leap out on him, so he had wide open space to make that shot. And you talk about coming out of flushing the mistakes or whatever. Book was ice cold. He had a pretty awful game as a scorer tonight. His playmaking was really the only redeeming thing he did, except for this final
turnovers too.
This final pass or this final shot, and so that was an extra cherry on top of it to have him be able to just emerge from a slump and just make that.
Yeah, and that didn't happen in the beginning of the game. At the beginning of the game, he actually, I wouldn't say he caught fire, but he was shooting the ball kind of well, and then just, you're right, went completely cold. The Suns are finally playing, it's 4 games, but God, I'll take anything, with some sort of identity. And we're going to go as Kevin Durant and Devin Booker go. And as you and I have said, 40 points a night from both those guys is kind of a lot to ask, but 28 a night from either one of those guys, or in this point, it averages out where KD had 40 and Devin Booker had 20. and the role players step up. Like, this is what it was supposed to look like all year long. And now you have the...
I know. We're just saying it every night because it's so dumbfounding.
It's frustrating because this team, if I get this team every night, I'm not saying they're going to beat the Thunder. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as something as crazy as that, but, like, yeah, it's going to be more competitive.
But they were never a lock to beat the Thunder in October, right? So it's just about being competitive and giving yourself a chance and not shooting yourself in the foot, and that's the part that was so frustrating for
and anything can happen.
November, December, January, February.
You're not rooting for an injury or anything crazy to happen, but, like, you just want to get in. And I'm, like, at fault for this because I was like, man, I kind of just want the season to be over. You get in, Shea twists an ankle, Lou Dort hurts an ankle. That's another guy that's guarding Devin Booker. You don't want that. That's awful. You're not rooting for injuries, but things like that happen.
Yeah.
That's how the Suns didn't luck in, but got some breaks into the 2021 finals.
Against this team. All right, let's get to our lessons of the game. Ben's feeling good about the competitive spirit.
Finally.
I'm going to give Coach Bud some more praise. We'll get to it next. First, today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder where did all the money go? Well, of course we all do. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. Maybe you just splurged on some Suns tickets in March or April because you're feeling good about things, or maybe you're waiting for the play-in and you're thinking, okay, how am I going to make all this work? That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing money and start building wealth. It's an all-in-one app, so instead of juggling this and that on your phone and a pad of paper over here and a checkbook over there and this thing you meant to tell your partner or your parents or your kid over there, it's all one app. Check your finances, track spending, even plan long-term goals with Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's MONARCHMONEY.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. All right, we're keeping it rolling here. Don't forget to sign up for the Locked On Suns Daily newsletter at LockedOnDaily.com, but we have a lot to get to. I'll start us off, Ben. Lesson of the game. I've been trying to remember. I believe it was one of the first times that the Suns beat the Clippers. And they had a really good game plan for Zubats, and they were just doing some things. And I remember going on a big, I want to say rant, but that sounds bad. Like, I went deep praising Bud because I think, again, you know, if you can just sort of like pretend like the middle 40 games didn't happen, he is showing us that when things are clicking for this team and when the roster is mostly healthy, although obviously Bradley Beal's still out, he's not afraid to treat a game as a must-win. I don't know if that's how he would put it to me or what he would say or how he was thinking about it. But when you look no further than the way that they were defending Giannis Antetokounmpo tonight. It was like when an NFL team just puts a safety on one receiver's side of the field, or when like Barry Bonds was just getting batted, thrown around and wouldn't even see pitches in an at-bat. It was that level of, we're doing every possible thing to sell out. They were basically double-teaming him anytime he had the ball.
Yep.
And not just the, oh, I'm going to take a couple steps and wag my hand in your face. No, literally two people were on him, moving with him as if there were six players on the court. And to even ask your team to do that, let alone get them ready to execute it, plus we can get into other elements, I thought that it was a really, really impressive job to, I think, rise to the moment of how big of a game this was and how singular of a talent Giannis is, and obviously pull it off and win the game.
Yeah, he knows he's able to understand the temperature in the room, and he played with urgency. And it almost bit him in the ass. Like, call it what it is. Gary Trent Jr. was pretty good tonight. Lopez was a little frustrating. But what Bud did was, hey, listen, Giannis is going to get his, 31?
Exactly, and he still was 12 of 19 from the field, 5 assists. Like, he was a monster.
He earned it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, there were, even, I remember I leaned over to you. Ryan Dunn was face guarding Giannis Antetokounmpo, doing everything, and honestly, probably should have been called for a foul. Giannis just rised over him on an alley-oop and put it down. Now, Ryan Dunn got his own get back later on in the game after yamming on Giannis Antetokounmpo, which, by the way, was awesome. But that's the kind of stuff. I even leaned over and told him, like, you know what, man? I'll live with that. Like, at least they made it difficult, which leads me to what I feel like I've learned.
Wait, hold on. I have more on Bud.
Oh,
we have to be nerdy for a lory longer here.
And then we'll get over to the dumb guy stuff.
No, it's not dumb, but
just kidding.
I want to just get it all out before we jump over.
Go for it.
We saw one possession where he hacked Giannis.
That was interesting.
And
really
Giannis was 6 of 13 from the free throw line. So I think that there was a little bit of a mentality of like, we're willing to give fouls. As far as the rotation goes, I thought that, he was mixing and matching. I didn't love the fact that Grayson Allen played. We kind of talked about that yesterday. I don't really think he added a lot. But what I will say is in the one moment when I think he did need to be out there, or it was at least a logical decision, he was. And it was the final play of the game because they put Grayson Allen on the strong side corner. And if you watch that play back where Book hit the game winner, Allen had a guy on, like there was another person in that space, but because it's Grayson Allen and it's the one pass in the strong side corner, that guy's just glued to him. So Book's just wide open making the winning shot of the game, and this defender probably feels like a moron because he has to just stand there and watch it, but it's because he can't leave his man. And that's, again, Bud, I think, coaching confidently is how I would put it. And so I just think he pulls levers in a way where I think, like I always think of Monty. People were so frustrated that Monty just stuck to his guns so much. He's going to play his guys. He's going to play his way, whatever. He's not going to treat any one game like get uncomfortable and try something just to go all out to exploit a weakness or beat a team that you really need to beat. Bud does that. So I just think when it happens, shout it out because he gets a lot of heat, and rightfully so. We don't know why these dudes were banished to whatever for 3 months.
Well, but
he does some good stuff from time to time.
I mean, even I said today when we were talking, I was like, man, I know, and you even says Bobo was awful in the Houston Rockets game, and I was like, man, what happened to Bobo? Like he's banished, he's gone, and so you go. It continues to go with what you were saying, that Bud is willing to adjust, knows the temperature in the room, and plays with some urgency. And I thought tonight, if the Suns are going to win, it had to look like this. It had to get a little gross at times, which Giannis Antetokounmpo is playing football and everyone else is,
rugby maybe.
It is. I mean, that we could do a 30-minute show on Giannis Antetokounmpo's egregious recklessness.
I basically did in July of 2021.
Really quickly, all the stuff that you had kind of just said, and one of the things that I feel like, even I got in trouble with Kevin Durant briefly, which was I feel like this team, they turtle shelled for a long time. And I feel like this team is turning a corner now where when they got punched in the face, you knew for a fact they were not coming back. And this goes all the way back to the Toronto Raptors first quarter where they were down 29-23. And they come out, obliterate the Raptors in the second quarter, and they punch another team in the face. The Bulls, they just punch them in the face pretty much the entire time. You get all the way over to the Bucks now. The Suns are up 101-96. They end up going up on the Suns after all that, 101 if I'm not mistaken. But either way, they blew a 5-point lead late in that stretch. And it gets tied, and I just immediately think the Suns are going to blow this. And it gets tied up no less because of a Giannis Antetokounmpo three-pointer from the top of the key with someone in his face. And immediately you're thinking, this is the Suns. It's not them. This is just what happens to us. Right as we think things are going to go well, things hit the fan. They withstood that little run from the Bucks and ended up coming out on top and winning this game. We have not seen that specific thing since the first 2 weeks of the season. And if the Suns can keep that up,
except for randomly when they play the Clippers. That's
the only game that don't have issues.
It's October and the first week of November, March, and when they play the Clippers. That's it.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's no more heads down. And listen,
because look, I think it's an example of what we were talking about last week after I think it was the Raptors game where I was saying we went through I think it might have been the Bulls game, whatever. The history with Bud and rookies, and like what I hope he's learning from this season of actually that it's not just a negative because they got to take their lumps and they're going to be whatever. One, I think these rookies are just different. But two, it's that short memory that they have. They're not capable of sitting there and hanging their heads because they're trying to make their impression on the league. They're trying to start their careers. Who cares if they're down 6? You know what I mean? Like, I really think that that's helping this team to just be like, yeah, Ryan Dunn said, he's like, I played like crap in the first half. Mm-hmm. He said that the dunk on Giannis helped him get his energy back. I'm like, that's not something you do to get your energy back. That's something to do when you feel like freaking Superman. But for him, it's just like, yeah, it's Giannis, whatever. I'm just going to go dunk on him. And I think that is so infectious right now.
Well, just adding on to that, it's a whole different corner that Bud is turning because who did he close the game out with? Oso Ighodaro, not Nick Richards. Mm-hmm. For the most part. Oso Ighodaro, not Nick Richards. And Oso kind of took his licks today, especially down low. Brook Lopez was kind of having his way with him. Giannis is going to have his way with everyone. It's kind of the thing that I've worried about with Oso down low. But he wasn't great today. He had a couple of bad fouls. But in the biggest moments, Bud still trusted him. And I think that's what matters. That's what gains confidence. So it's the Bud thing, but it's also trusting in the rookies, trusting in these young guys. And
those guys being wise beyond their years to be able to execute something like that double teaming against Giannis or, be a key screener in that last inbound play like Oso was. Like, not all rookies can handle that. You know what I mean? And that takes a certain mental makeup and a mental understanding of the game that's not common for those guys.
Well, even you and I, when they had hack-a-shacked Giannis, that was Ryan Dunn's 4th foul. You saw Oso come in, and I think we all consensus we were like, I think they're going to go big. I think they're going to go KD, Oso, Nick Richards. Out comes Nick Richards. Doesn't want to end the game with him.
I just think he doesn't trust Richards' decision.
No, he doesn't. No, in the late in the games, he doesn't. You brought up a really good point about Nick Richards that is just quickly, a quick 30-second, 40-second bite of it, but, you're right. He does kind of wear his emotions on his sleeve. I guess it's hard on his sleeve.
Yeah.
But if some things get to him kind of quickly.
The big moment he had that block on Giannis at the rim early in the game, but then if he gets called for a foul he doesn't agree with or he has a turnover, it's just like, damn it, So, all right. Let's look at KD's three-point shooting to follow up on that big one with 30 seconds left in the game. Let's talk standings. It's the closeout next. All right, closing out the show here. 108-106 Suns win. Going streaking. No noise at PHX Arena to bog down our podcast here.
There isn't a
late at
little
night.
Fire alarm going off somewhere.
That
usually shuts off in
There's a lot of drilling and stuff,
seconds.
but not music.
There's definitely like a
and
concert.
Frat boys dunking or trying to dance or whatever they're doing. Okay. So this was kind of a through line this whole game that I just thought was like a good opportunity to talk about it as we get to our magic number, which was Kevin Durant's three-point shooting. And I think, of course, lately it's been front of mind. He was 7 of 9 tonight. He's been just red hot. He just won Western Conference Player of the Week. He was in the last game 4 of 9. He has had a 3 of 7 game recently, 4 of 6. Like, he's been reining it in. But when you combine the fact that he's 0.1 off of 0.7 off of a career high in attempts, and he's basically right there with efficiency from deep in terms of career numbers.
Yeah.
You could say this is the best three-point shooting season of Kevin Durant's career, and you have a pretty good case to be made for it. And 7 of 9 tonight. Bud mentioned letting it fly. When Doc Rivers was asked pregame, how have you seen KD continue to elevate his game this long into his career and be an All-NBA contender once again? He talked about three-point shooting. He said his willingness to embrace that in a new system where Bud pushes it really aggressively, that's really big. Just nothing, it's not like he's doubling up his three-point attempts or shooting 50% or winning the three-point contest at All-Star Weekend. Like, there's no big thing here, but it is just something to kind of look at when you're talking about Bud's imprint on the game, KD's adaptability, and of course recently the team's success formula to be winning and ripping off all these big wins.
Yeah, when you look at some of the statistics, it's not just the turnovers, the points conceded off turnovers, but they shot less threes than the Bucks. I mean, they made 2 more of them. But to see, when that's led by Kevin Durant, it just felt like multiple times in this game he had the ball and you just felt like it was going in. And when
he
Kevin
made
Durant's,
half their threes. Like, he has been their three-point offense in some of these games because, like we talked about yesterday, of how can they keep this going. They're not exactly playing a bunch of gunslingers in their rotation right now. Like, they need every
bucket from KD.
Yeah.
Every single bucket. And that's what is asked of them. We're not asking for anything crazy. We want Kevin Durant to be their best player, Devin Booker to be their 2. And in moments when they need to be asked to carry this team, you and I talked about this. It was like 4 minutes left in the game, and I looked over and I was like, our superstars have to be better than their stars, or their superstars, and just be honest at this point. And the Suns did that tonight with KD, shooting the ball that well from the three-point line. The problem is we need that consistently. And I know it's KD and he could do that, but like it is still a tall task for anyone.
Well, and the one thing about threes is, like, outside of occasional ones like the one at the top of the key that I keep harking back to, or sometimes when he runs a pick and roll, threes are going to be shots where he's finishing a play, not creating for himself. He's not really a pull-up three-point shooter because he's not really a ball handler like that full time. So it is a fine line where it's like there's going to be games where it's, wow, he made 7 of 9. That's such a big. They need him to space the floor. They need him to be letting it fly, and then very quickly that can turn into he's just a decoy. He's not getting the ball. You know what I mean? So it is a balance, but I think especially right now, and when you compare it to like things that I criticized him on earlier in the season when he was being very, I would say, stubborn about wanting to be a pick and roll ball handler, wanting to just dribble into the teeth of the defense and be OKC KD again, and the numbers kind of telling us that's not really what he's best at anymore. This is what he's best at, and to find ways to continue to impact the game as a shooter and be aggressive from there and let that carry his offensive load a little bit, I think it's like a big salute to him to adjust over the course of a season, and the results speak for themselves.
Is it sustainable?
I mean, I think a big part of it is him just taking them. Because a lot of the time he wants to one dribble pull up. He's
good at those.
He wants to feel out the defense and get into his spots and whatever. And I think, it's the same with Beal. Heck, it's the same with Book. Like, superstar players who are good from the mid-range, who know their spots, they don't always like to take threes. So I think it's sustainable. Do you?
It kind of leads me into my next thing. It's like if it is sustainable, man, I just think asking someone, because you have to think about it, if he doesn't hit one of those threes tonight, like, they lose. They needed every single one of them.
Yeah.
So I just wonder how, like, Kevin Durant's awesome, but, like, I don't know if Steph Curry could consistently
hit 7 of 9
but they needed that. And recently they've needed these types of runs from guys like Kevin Durant. Yeah, they pretty much beat up on the Cavaliers the other night. Kevin Durant was awesome in that game too. And
40.
You can chop up into he's just awesome. But I wonder how sustainable not just KD is, but like from top to bottom, what they're doing. You at the end of this game, like Colin Gillespie had 22 points, but they ended the game with Tyus Jones.
Colin
Gillespie
had
mattered.
22 minutes. 22 minutes.
22 minutes in tonight's game, and they finished the game with Tyus Jones, and you're like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. And I wonder what's sustainable about this. And it's not to say Tyus was bad tonight. I thought Tyus was actually decent in some stretches and was Johnny on the spot in some plays.
It's with everything. Why does a player make a decision in the moment? I think it's the same with coaching. It is just feel, but I think that there's something to be said with Bud for the fact that they're rolling. They've had a miserable season, and he's still at least willing to do what he thinks. I understand that sounds crazy because what he thought for so long was stupid in a lot of our opinions, not playing guys who were very clearly helping in terms of the young players, but it's going to take a little bit of magic, I feel like, for this to continue. So I can't blame just trying to find those soft spots and rolling with the hot hand and going away from guys. We're going to see what it looks like with Beal when that conversation comes. But let's do a quick standings watch before we wrap up. So 2 things in the Sacramento-Boston game were important tonight. 1, the Kings lost, meaning that they're just a half game up on the Suns. 2, Jason Tatum got hurt, which helps for Wednesday if he's not able to go.
What I did see is they did not make Jason Tatum available, but he had both shoes on, and he was joking and laughing with teammates in the post game, in the locker room post game. So
the thing with the Celtics
they
is
still-
though
they
they're
still
not
might
really
ease him.
chasing Cleveland.
Exactly. They
so
still
it's just
might-
like, why bother? I'm not gonna declare that he's out, but
I don't think he
I would
plays.
expect it.
I don't think he
right?
plays.
And so yeah, there you go. That makes Wednesday easier. By no means a win automatically.
No, hell no.
But
hell no.
their best players out. That's helpful. And then the Kings lose and they're only a half game up. However, the Mavs did win, which means that they are even now with the Suns, still in the 10-11 tie, and Anthony Davis is back.
Suns have a tiebreaker though.
Yes.
Mavs have to actually leap them.
Yes.
So.
And Anthony Davis is back, meaning that they're
Yeah.
going to be at least a little formidable, although we talked about that possibility yesterday, and I think the way this Suns team is playing and their overall health, because Davis was not even close to the only guy that's missing. Of course, Kyrie's out, and I mean, all these role players are out too for them, so I don't exactly expect the Mavs to just start ripping off wins, but they're a better team now, of course, with Davis than without him.
New York, Orlando, Chicago, Brooklyn, Hawks. Those are the next six games.
Their
for the
schedule
Mavs.
is much easier than
Yeah.
either Phoenix's or Sacramento's. So, we're going to have to scoreboard watch with them and Sacramento all season long the rest of the way. But if the Suns can keep playing like this, that takes care of a lot.
Are we back? Ask me again on Wednesday.
I'm not going to feel really like, I mean, it's going to be the playoffs for me. Nothing that can happen the rest of the regular season is going to make me be way high or way low.
Well, I don't know about way high, but it could definitely get me into it. They beat the Celtics on Wednesday. I will change my tune.
I think we're back in the way that, like, I'm not dreading the play-in. I'm not dreading a first-round series.
yeah.
Like I said at the beginning when you were talking about beating the Thunder, it's like, well, no one thought they were going to roll over the Thunder anyway.
Yeah.
I just want it to be competitive. I'm at least at the point where I think it'll be whatever happens the rest of the way, I think they can at least compete. But as far as, like, what does that really mean?
Fair enough.
They haven't earned it. They have not earned my trust. All right, that'll wrap us up. Hit follow, subscribe if you haven't already. Coming every day, or we got more content for you the rest of the week. Recap of the Celtics game coming Wednesday night and much more. Enjoy the win. Enjoy your Tuesday. We'll catch you next time.